Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part three of our Fireside Chat series. Very good afternoon to all of you joining from India, and good morning if you're joining from across the globe. This is part three of our Fireside Chat series. This session is tailored for the accounting fraternity. Most of you will know already if you're following us from part one, for CAs, CPAs, bookkeepers, focused on how you can scale your operations, how you can grow your business. Specifically, if you're accounting firms in India and Asia Pacific who are exploring to go global and tap into markets like US, UK, and Canada, or conversely, if you have firms in the America and Europe where you can benefit from offshoring in India. So this session is tailored for all of you. Before we kick things off, again, I'm Cynthia, and I've had the privilege of working with accounting professionals and firms through my role at Zoho Finance, helping them to, a very small role to empower them to latest finance technologies. If you joined our first two parts, we spoke about how accounting firms need to think through before taking the big leap into the offshoring space, the outsourcing space. We spoke about what are the models they can follow, the processes, etc. And the second session, we covered about technology, specifically how accounting firms can start automating seamlessly, what are the technologies they can choose, and and so on and so forth. And like you all know, we've been doing these sessions with our offshoring and accounting expert, Arun Mehra. Once again, I am glad and happy to welcome him to our part three series. Arun, say hi.
Everybody, hello. Nice to see everyone, and thank you for having me on here again, Cynthia.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. Just a very short intro about Arun. Arun is a chartered accountant with over 23 years of experience from PwC in London to senior roles in banking domains. And he built Samera, ground up, a global accounting firm that's right at the intersection of offshoring and automation put together. His team works with firms across UK, India, and beyond, and he helps with scaling and helping other firms go global as well. So welcome once again, Arun. Today, this session is very special to me because I've heard this session a couple of times and I thought it was very important to bring this to all of you here. While we're going to have a chat and listen to inspiring stories from Arun, we also have another speaker along with Arun, Mr. Vipul Kataria. Welcome him. And this is going to be a success story of how he built his firm, Virtual Clone. So a quick introduction about Vipul. Vipul Kataria, a seasoned professional, and he's an ACCA member. He has over about 15 years of industry experience. In 2015, he founded his company called Virtual Clone. You're going to hear about the success story of that company today. Virtual Clone provides specialized accounting outsourcing services to clients in the UK and Australia. And today he employs more than 200 plus skilled professionals, and he operates from 2 strategic offices in India. And his goal is obviously to reach and influence the global market. Thank you so much for joining us, Vipul. We are glad to have you here along with Arun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's get started with the questions. Another set of housekeeping rules. You will have the Q&A tab here. So if you have any questions, feel free to start sending your questions there. Arun and Vipul will take them at the end of the session. So we will have like a panel today. I'll keep asking questions to them so that, you can get inspired by their stories and their experiences. So the first question is going to be common to both Arun and Vipul. In your experience, how has the perception of offshoring evolved in the accounting industry over the last few years? Because I think in the recent times, it's becoming a buzz, but we know firms who started long back, right? Like Virtual Clone or Samera Global. So how has the perception evolved? Maybe we can start off with Arun.
Sure, thank you, Cynthia. Hello, everyone again. So great question. So I started my outsourcing and offshoring journey probably back in 2005, 2006. And we were using some firms in India at the time. And everyone in the UK was saying to me, oh, you sure you should be doing this? It was quite a negative sentiment, okay? At that time, we didn't have things like Xero or cloud accounting. It was kind of very manual and very labor intensive, where we would scan documents in the UK, put them on an FTP server and send them over to India. Similarly, we had a QuickBooks file that would be FTP'd over, and then over the next few days, we'd get everything back. And the experience wasn't seamless. It was quite clunky and quite ugly. And whilst we managed to have quite a good process, I know many other firms tried to do it, and their kind of results were pretty poor. And so the kind of reputation of outsourcing or offshoring became quite negative. But now, I think where we are now, things have moved on rapidly in the last few years. The technology's changed. The capability in India has changed significantly. Younger workforce, better English speaking, all of these things have changed. So whilst I still think there is huge opportunity still to tap into, say here from the UK market, for instance, because most firms still don't do some offshoring. Maybe the larger firms do, but many players don't. But I think the perception has definitely improved significantly. And if you're not using offshoring here in the UK, I think many people believe, well, you're kind of quite behind the times. Okay. So I think it's definitely, it's still, there's still some negativity. I'm not denying that. But I think for the more progressive firms, they've realized this is the way forward, a combination of, you still need local team members, but also a combination of good, solid team members overseas.
Completely echo your thoughts, Arun. It amazes me how sometimes we think certain things are futuristic, but then they're actually the present that we are in, right? So outsourcing is something that people may have thought, which is futuristic, but like you said, it's kind of the default now. So great thoughts. Over to you, Vipul.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what just Arun said. Also, what we have realized when, so we have been kind of in the industry for a while. What we have realized that when you're talking to a prospective client, the way they think about, outsourcing and offshoring has completely changed. Initially, they were like, even the first thought is we should avoid it. The second thought was, okay, if we cannot, do without it, let's try it out and see how it works. But there was a lot of, caution when they used to try. Now the perception has changed so much that they have started feeling that they cannot do without this. They won't be able to grow as well as they want, as far they want to go. They won't be able to achieve it without having an outsourcing partner. It will be very difficult for them to do that. So it has kind of completely reversed in the way, the conversations we have had over the last few years. We have realized that people feel that, yeah, this is something they're definitely going to need. It's no more an optional kind of a thing for them.
Beautifully put, Vipul, which is starting from resistance to change to saying, okay, let me give it a try, to the same thoughts of Arun, where it's become the default. Okay, great. So let's move on to the second question. This is specifically for you, Vipul, but I'd like to hear from Arun as well later about Samera. To start with, can you briefly share your journey, Vipul? How did you, I mean, this must have been a dream come true, right? There would have been a dream someday, and then you would have taken a phased approach to bring virtual clone to life. So please share your journey with us, and the audience are looking forward to it.
Because yeah, so I'm based out of a small town. We still operate from here. So usually, so this place is called Bhilai. It's an industrial town. It houses Asia's biggest steel plant. And because it's a big government enterprise, the infrastructure around the town is great. So we've got really good schools, colleges, universities, medical facilities are good. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough white collar employment, though the talent pool was there. So when I grew up, I completed my studies. I had to move out of here, and I picked up a job in one of the bigger cities, switched a couple of times, got transferred to multiple cities, but I was always living away from my family. So that's how the idea came in, that can we go back and do something from my hometown, which is Bhilai. But again, it wasn't in a way that we wanted to start an organization, start employing people. The first thought was, can I do something of my own? And that's when I moved back. I started looking at options, did a lot of research, and then because I had interest in finance and accounting, started working into the industry, and then realized, okay, this has a lot of potential, and the way it is helping me, it can help others as well. So that's how Virtual Clone started. We started slow. We, thought that we'll try and start with a small bunch of people, train them, see how it goes, and take it from there. And with anything like this, there's always that, risk of failure. You're working on a stable job. You might just, not end up with nothing. But fortunately, I was really well supported by my family. So Virtual Clone has a co-founder who happens to be my, a better half as well. So she was always with me through the journey. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. So, but yeah, the initial idea was just to, find something for myself to do from the hometown. But then as the opportunities started flowing in, we started building a team, and then it worked out pretty well.
Very, very inspiring, Vipul, especially catching on the better half part, because I've heard this from Arun as well, right? I think it's very important to have an equal support system, both personally and professionally, because that's how you can keep going forward. So, and it's very interesting thought of how you were remote and you thought remote work, which is outsourcing, is going to help. So just trying to, yeah.
So what happened, as I said, I had keen interest in finance and accounting, but when I came back, I realized that there are so many qualified chartered accountants already in a small town with limited businesses. These were established players providing great services from years and years. And it was harder for us to crack into that compared to outsourcing at that stage. So it was the nature of work as well, which was not really attractive for me. So most of the, and it has changed over the years, but going back 10 years, most of the Indian businesses were like, we just want to do compliance, file all our tax returns on time, stay on the right side of the law, and that's all we want. And that's the part where, it wasn't that interesting. I wanted to do something above and beyond that. So that's how we thought maybe outsourcing is a better option for us, because with so much competition, established player, and also the type of work which was on offer wasn't great.
Absolutely. I think this also comes back to giving back to the community, which Arun keeps talking about. Like, for example, you said you have chartered accountants in your own space and you wanted to give opportunities to them. So these are two beautiful thoughts. So I just want to pass that on to Arun, because I've heard this from Arun several times, which is one, giving back to the community, and two, of course, the support system that you have home and outside. So what I've heard the story several times, Arun, maybe if you can share us, what was the first thought process, or what made you start Samera Global?
Yeah, good question. Well, let me just, one thing about Vipul. Vipul is definitely someone who's got foresight. I'm just going to big him up here, because he definitely had foresight at the time, and he's someone that he doesn't realize this, but I really respect kind of he's always quite far ahead amongst many people, okay, and particularly in this aspect of being in a smaller city in India, where he's tapping into the local talent, providing employment, providing opportunities for people. And I think that's an amazing thing that he does there. And I think if other people can emulate that, I think that's only going to be an amazing thing, because that's ultimately helping local communities like he's doing. So, and I don't think enough praise is given to Vipul for that. But in terms of answering your question, Cynthia, to remind me, you were saying that you wanted me to talk about how I started, why I started ultimately, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Again, my background, I trained at PwC, I went into investment banking in London. I was earning a lot of money, to be brutally honest with you, but I realized that money wasn't what drove me. I honestly, I hated the role, I hated the hours, I hated everything about it. The culture was toxic, it was backstabbing, it was just pretty ugly. And the only reason many investment banks survive is because they keep dangling a big carrot every year, another big bonus to stay on. And eventually that kind of bonus, it's meaningless, okay? Because it's sucking your soul. And I found that quite upsetting for myself and my wife, Smitha, who's my wife still, and still for 20 odd years. She was very supportive. She said, Arun, if you're unhappy, just get out of it. So that was the impetus to get out and start my own business. And I trained as a chartered accountant. Honestly, I didn't really know anything else. But I'd worked at big firms. So when I opened up my small firm at Samera, honestly, I had no idea what I was doing, but you have to learn. And day by day you learn and you get that. And I got my first client, and I remember going to this client. It was a business here in the UK. Turned up to see them, and they provided me this massive box of papers, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, my heart sunk. And I thought, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I have no idea what system to use or anything. So the first thing I did, I got back home to my office, and I went to, there's a place here called the Job Center, where you have to find people to employ. So I've put out there, I'm looking for someone who's experienced in preparing accounts from incomplete records and paper and so. And luckily, I found one person, and he joined me, and he stayed with me for about 15 years. And that's kind of how it started off. But I think it got to a point where I'd always had in the back of my mind I wanted to have my own business, and this seemed the natural fit at that time, and it's just evolved from that. And now I wouldn't call myself an accountant, to be honest with you. I am an accountant by training. I have a great team of accountants, but my actions are more kind of much more business orientated within the firm.
I think that's what is important, right? When they have their own firm, they start off with accounting, I agree. But then when you build your firm and then you start getting clients, the role of that particular chartered accountant, which is in this case, you or Vipul, is going to be managing them and more of, business development and trying to get the project going, right? Rather than managing stacks of paper. I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. So you spoke about how an employee was with you for 15 years. I'm sure Vipul also has long-term employees. So I'm just going to club that and this into one question. So firms worry about quality control with offshore talent in terms of, how you're going to train them, how you're going to maintain them, which is one is training and then ensuring they're staying up to date, which is that is how they can deliver quality service. And second, how do you ensure you retain them? Because there is a lot of parameters out there in terms of retaining them. It can be money, it can be peace of mind. Like you said, it's important that they work in a fun place, in a healthy place. So what are the important parameters that you both think to manage offshore talent? We can start with Vipul today.
Yeah. I personally feel the quality control bit starts right from the hiring. So if you can get that right, you can bring in the right kind of people into your team, the life is a lot more easier. Obviously, you have to take it further from there. But I think for us, the quality control bit starts right from the hiring. So we have got a very detailed kind of a hiring process where it's not just a personal interview, but we have a couple of online assessments, then an assessment which happens in our office, and then there's a personal interview where we try and understand whether that person has the sort of personality which we are looking for. So that solves kind of half of the problem. And then for the other half of the problem, there's just no way out. You will have to spend a lot of quality time training your team members. So what we have done is we have a set of pre-recorded modules which we give them, and then if someone has joined us for first 2-3 months, they'll be just doing a lot of training. Initially they'll go through some pre-recorded trainings, and then every evening we have a half-an-hour catch-up, like, okay, you have gone through the trainings, tell us what you understand, tell us what you don't understand, if you need any more clarification. So that's a ongoing session every evening for half an hour for all the new team members. Existing team members are also if they want, they are also welcome. And then once they've done those trainings, then what happens is we've got some dummy set of jobs, random data put into an Excel file, some dummy or demo companies which were set up on different platforms. So the next step for them is to use that data, dummy data, and try and prepare some set of books using that data. And then once they have done that, we try and see whether it matches to the expectation we have set for ourselves or our clients have from us. Till the time we don't get those results, they don't go live, they don't start delivering any work. For some team members, it could be just a month's journey because they picked up really well. For some team members, it could be a 6-month journey, but we don't try and rush through that. We know that everyone has their own learning curve. It's just a matter of time because we have put so much focus or so much emphasis on the hiring process. We know we are the right team members. It's just a matter of time. Even if it takes 6 months, it's fine. So that's how we go about it.
Very, very defined set of process, Vipul. I'm sure that's going to be useful for a lot of them who've joined the session today. Again, Arun, what is the process that you've set up in Samera, similar to right from
as Vipul highlighted, I think hiring is key. Okay, and if you get the wrong hire, you've got a problem straight away. But in my view, I think we always hire based on attitude more than anything. I think that has to be the primary factor. So have they got the right attitude? Once we've got someone with the right attitude, we can then train them up. Okay, they may come with 0 qualifications or very minimal qualifications, but if they've got a really good attitude and they want to do well, they want to learn, they want to develop, then we'll put all the time, effort, money into them to develop. So I think that goes anywhere, whether we're hiring in India, whether we're hiring in the UK, whether we're hiring anywhere else. Okay. In terms of best practice, I think it's similar to what Vipul's saying in terms of training. We have videos which we have already done. We're always developing. I think the big issue quite often is communication, that type of thing that needs to be improved upon within especially in an offshoring firm, and communication. And if you can communicate well, people buy into you, and therefore they feel confident about your ability to do the work. Therefore, what we're doing currently right now within my own team, we're developing a whole set of communications trainings for them to build their confidence. So when they talk to clients feel much more confident in the ability for the individual to deliver. Because technical expertise is one thing, that's fine, but being able to communicate it is honestly another thing. And in my view, not equally important, much more important, okay? Because that thing can then build the relationship with the people. Because when inevitably in accounting, things do go wrong, things do get messed up. And if you've got a strong communicator who can deal with that situation, who can manage the situation, that can save a client, that can save the business, that can save things in so many ways, and also can reassure the client as well. So I think goes without saying we have to train them in technical side of things, but really where I've still, and this is where I see many Indian firms fail, okay? They really, especially if they want to go on the offshoring route, they really need to invest in the communication, the confidence, that type of thing. Otherwise, and this kind of goes into one of your future questions, I think you're coming along, is that you'll be seen as a commodity, okay? And they'll just go for the cheapest option. And if it's cheap, people will just compare, I get it for $10 an hour or $8 an hour. It's like, well, it's meaningless. It's when you can add value, and those team members can add value through their communication, their confidence, and their ability. That's when you can really differentiate your team from others.
I completely agree, Arun. Two things that I could gather. One is from Vipul's, where there is hands-on training, which is also important, apart from the theoretical one, which is, like you said, technical, yes, but then also checking hands-on if they're able to get that done, like after their training every day, checking with them and then asking them to do a demonstration. And then from Arun, it's not just technical, but also the soft skills, which is very important, which sometimes gets overlooked as well. So very good. So that's about talent.
Yeah, one thing, Cynthia, I think if I had to really emphasize this point to people in India who are running firms or who want to set up into this space, the technical thing will be taken away increasingly with AI. Okay, we're going to see that it's happening and it's going to happen. The thing that's going to differentiate you are the communication skills, it's the soft skills. That is the thing that people need to double down on, triple down on. If you don't have that, don't go into this space, okay? Honestly, you're going to be wasting your time, you're going to be struggling. But if you really have the confidence and the ability to train your team members and you to actually be communicative, have those soft skills, that's when you'll differentiate yourself and people will buy into you. And that's when you can price yourself accordingly. You don't have to be the cheapest in the market. You can price yourself respectively and get good clients as well who trust and like you.
Yeah. I agree, Arun. Thank you for giving me the cue for the next question. Clients, very important, because of course numbers have to trickle in. At the end of the day, we have to pay bills and we have to do service to them. So this is, I'll start off with Vipul. Getting the first client is definitely the hardest for any business, right? Walk us through that experience of yours. And while you answer that, also tell us what are some of the channels which has worked for you to acquire clients.
Okay, so I'm not from the marketing background, so maybe we may not have got it in the best, possible route, but it's probably the most difficult thing, getting the first client, and you don't have much to lean on. You don't have case studies, testimonials. You don't have a lot of money to run marketing campaign. So for us, it was really simple. We just wanted to rely on personal referrals. So me and my co-founder, we have extended families based out of India. And we thought this is really easy. We'll just try and message them, see if they need any help in this space. And so at that stage, the thought process was not about getting a big contract. We knew that it's not going to happen through these channels. It was just about getting a feel of what it is to be in this space, what sort of service we need to deliver, what should be the kind of standards of quality. So it was just trying to get a feel. And for us, initially, it was all about personal reference. So we reached out pretty much to everyone we knew. We requested them to help out, and it was easy. In a few months, we had a handful of small clients whom we started supporting.
Lovely, lovely, Vipul. I have seen this in some of the friends, some of our friends and partners as well, chartered accountants who are partners to Zoho, which is the camaraderie that they build, which is one CA firm does not have any ego in letting go a customer to another CA firm if their hands are full. So they're like, hey, I've got this customer, why don't you pick it up? Because I'm already full this month. And that is the bond, which is, through word of mouth that I've seen in a lot of partner friends that we have. So I think that resonates with what you're saying as well, which is you started off with word of mouth, which is great. Arun, what is your take on acquiring clients? And if you have
I think Vipul's my setup's slightly different because I'm based here in the UK. So as I said to you, my first client was through I married a dentist, and then I started getting clients who are other dentists. So the key is to get married to the right profession, I guess. But joking aside, okay, where I see today, things are very different, okay, but the key point that I've always believed in is to educate your marketplace, okay, and that's how I started off my business 20 years ago. But I think it's even more relevant today, in terms of what do I mean by educating a marketplace? Well, we go into a sector and then we try to understand it, then we try to give our opinions, give our views, do videos about it, write content, write blogs, all that type of stuff. And we put it out there into the wider format, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it may be. And that's when you start getting people, oh, wow, that's an interesting angle. And then people start reaching out to you. Now, I'm not a big believer in cold email or cold marketing. I'm far from it, actually. I kind of hate it. I hate receiving it myself. And I know most other accountants really aren't that interested in it. If anyone's doing cold outreach to accountants, 9 times out of 10, they'll say no. But if you get a client from that, great. But that type of client is typically someone who's shopping around for the cheapest price. Okay, so you won't necessarily get a very good client from that. So my view in terms of getting that first client is all about building your reputation. From that, trust comes. Eventually, from trust, people think, okay, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, through Vipul's route, he had contacts that he could reach out to further afield, which no doubt helped. Okay, but similarly to what I did here in the UK, and that's no doubt very helpful because there's an element of trust straight away. But in today's marketplace, trying to just do a cold email or cold outreach or cold calling, don't. Okay, it'll damage your business more than anything. You want people to come to you because you're so good and you're so respected. That's the key to it.
I completely agree with the content part, Arun, because today the amount of content they can get from the internet is huge. So the customer comes to us knowing about us even before coming to us, right? Be it AI overview that they can read, where they pick up about the company, or the ads that come, or the SEO that brings up the organic way of content. Everywhere people can read about the vendor or the partner or the firm that they're going to choose to before even coming to the firm. So investing in that is very, very important. And yeah.
Yeah, it's not just important, Cynthia, in today's age, this is essential, to be honest with you, okay? If you don't have the bandwidth to do this, okay, you're going to really struggle to get those clients because, as you said, everyone's looking on Google. Now it's on ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini. Everyone's doing, and so in order to compete on those channels, okay, on those AI platforms and Google, you need to have a multi-pronged approach. And therefore, you have to invest in this. It's going to be a sunk cost for a while, okay? And you're going to have to learn and educate yourself on this type of stuff. But eventually, slowly but surely, if you do it right and keep improving, clients will come. Clients will definitely come.
I think, again, we have another cue for the next question. Arun, we spoke about AI. So this is the age of AI. No event without AI as a topic. Now, given AI is going to be there, what do both of you think in terms of, talent that you have? So a firm having talent who's going to take care of technical client services, yes. But with the future becoming automation and AI, is there a threat, or how is it that we can manage offshore talent?
Who wants to go first?
Okay, let's start with you itself, Arun. Go on.
Okay, so my view is that offshore talent will still always be needed. Okay, AI will replace certain roles, no doubt about it. More the simpler roles, such as bookkeeping, because technology is evolving at a fast rate. But that doesn't mean you should be fearful. I think it's about embracing the technology. We've seen revolutions in technology happen kind of every 20, 25 years ago with the internet revolution. Everyone thought they're going to lose their jobs in that type of revolution. And now everyone's worried about the AI. I don't think that's going to happen. Ultimately, you need to build a strong team, a trusted team who is capable, who is willing to learn, who is willing to embrace AI into the business. If they're resistant to embracing it, then you've got a problem. Okay, but you need to embrace that. Now, if I look at my firm, we're a small to medium-sized firm based out of the UK with a team in India. Honestly, my team makeup is changing, to be honest with you. I'm adding more and more data science people, software engineers into my team, because I think that's where it's going to go. Accounting will be pretty much driven by tech. Once we've got that going and working, they'll still need accountants, okay, because accountants will need to do the checks and balances. But I just think it's just a changing time, and every firm, every business needs to evolve. And I'm a big believer in change, and I'm a big believer in AI. I've seen how the powers it can do. At the moment in the accounting industry, it's really not really done anything yet. It's really scratched the surface. It's hardly done anything. But at some point soon, in the next maybe 6 to 12 months, we'll start seeing some real capable things to see, okay, how can that save other firms money?
Great answer, Arun. I will wait for my points before, I'd like to hear from Vipul. Vipul, over to you on this rise of AI. How do you see offshore talent fitting?
I think people just need to embrace it. It's going to come. It's not in your control, so it's going to be there. Also, so far, what we have seen is it has taken away things which people generally hated, like basic bookkeeping stuff, recording purchase, sales, that kind of stuff. So, and that gives them opportunity of, doing some higher level stuff, upskilling themselves and focusing on higher level stuff. So far it has been, what we have seen is, one, it is increasing our output. It is increasing the volume of work we are able to deliver. But at the same time, it is doing that by taking away all those functions or all those things which nobody kind of wanted to do. It was boring. It was repetitive in nature. Nobody enjoyed it.
Yeah, embracing is very, very important. Thank you to both of you for mentioning that. I think any change that's going to come, it's better to embrace it rather than fight with it. And AI, like both of you said, is coming, is already there. We should probably look at it as enablers, which is going to help the existing talent rather than threatening the existing talent. So yeah, completely echo both of your points. Okay, now we spoke about AI, we spoke about talent retention. Again, going back to Vipul's success story, I've heard this from Vipul in a couple of events about you have a strong client base in Europe. So what strategies worked for you? Because getting a client abroad is not easy, and especially to venture into Europe. What were some of the strategies that you used for international venture?
This was something which we had very clear from day one. In fact, there's a small story behind the name virtual clone. So we say virtual clone is basically just hiring a team member in your team, except the fact that the team member is sitting virtually. So that's how the name came in, virtual clone. And it has been something which we were very clear from day one. So there are 3-4 different things which we try and do. The first one is, we try and integrate really well with our clients. And when I say integrate, it's basically not just understanding what work they're expecting us to do, but also understanding their culture, their quality standard, their processes. At no point they should feel as if virtual clone is an outsider or a service provider. They'll come in, they'll do something, they'll go away. It shouldn't be the case. So that's, one thing which we have been very clear of, that we always want to work with clients who wants that kind of a relationship. They just don't want a service provider who will deliver a set of tasks and go away. They want a kind of partner who is helping them grow, who is part of their growth journey. So that was one thing which we always, try to do. The second part, and this happens a lot in offshoring outsourcing industry, people feel that they may not have full control or transparency of what is happening on the other side. And this is where we thought we want to be as open, as clear as, yeah. So that's again something where there was a lot of focus in terms of transparency. At any point of time, if we have a job from a client, they'll know who is working on it. They'll know what that person's capabilities are. They'll know who is going to review it. They'll get frequent updates even when they have not asked. They'll still get an update that we are still working through it. So transparency is second, most important pillar. I see it that way, because the moment you open yourself up and you're like, ask us anything about your projects, your jobs, and we'll share you in the best possible way, that builds a lot of confidence. And then the focus was, once we acquired first few clients, it was not about growing quickly. It was always about retaining the clients, serving them really well. So that helped. Even today, when we have a small marketing department in place, they do their bit to bring in new business. Half of our new business comes from the referrals. So that was another one where we thought that we don't want a short-term relationship. We want a long-term relationship. We'll try and serve them in the best possible way. And that has helped. And then, one more thing which we always try and do is, though you have a client, you have a commercial relationship, you have a service contract, we always try and go above and beyond that. So the service contract might say, we'll have to give this much notice if you want us to do more work. But if someone comes to us overnight and says, can you help with this tomorrow? And if they're an existing client, there's no way we are going to turn them down. We'll try whatever, we'll do whatever it takes, but we'll try and help them. So our relationship with our clients was never kind of limited to the service contract and the parameters or KPIs defined on them. It was always about, building a long-term relationship, being part of their growth journey and helping them in the best possible way.
Long-term, absolutely the key word that I'm taking from here, Vipul. And that's exactly how they refer you as well. I can completely understand, because references are much more stronger than the inbound push that we get through any other channel, right? So great insights. Arun, I saw you making.
Just to add a little bit to it, we have a small marketing team, and we're doing a bit of a study in terms of how much time it takes for us to convert a lead into a client. When it's coming from referral, it's under a month. When it's coming from some sort of a campaign, it takes good 3 to 6 months. So, I mean, in that sense also, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to sales cycles, small account, because firms today that we're seeing who are attending us must be probably on the size of small to mid, an average size firm, and they cannot afford to have longer sales cycles. It's important to have shorter sales cycles, to have quicker wins, and then retain them, and then through them get more clients. That's a beautiful insight, Vipul. I'm sure people in the audience, if you have any questions on how specifically you want to venture into a particular market and how you retain customers, I'm sure this insight is going to be useful for you. And if you want to top it up, feel free to ask on the Q&A tab. I saw Arun making notes when Vipul was answering this, especially when he was talking about transparency and the retention and reference as well. Arun, do you want to add your thoughts to it, to this particular question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best strategies, I know Vipul's points are spot on. Okay, it's ultimately getting those referrals. It's about building trust with your clients, and also putting your hand up if things aren't going right, kind of accepting, okay, we'll try and fix this situation. But you also need responsive clients who are willing to work with you. It's important to have, it's a two-way street, and two-way mutual respect is important as well. I think like with Vipul, we try to partner with our clients as closely as possible, but some are easier to do with than others. There's no doubt about it. I think the strategies work for us, honestly. That to be honest with you, whilst referrals come, we are always working on the marketing system to expand our market, and that's why being strong online is a massively powerful message, because it happens in the background without actually having to do anything physically and spend too much money, yeah, you have a marketing team to do that. But otherwise, you're just putting out something, and it's just promoting your brand. And that's the key thing, is that brand presence that you're getting out there. So just very recently, we got a client via ChatGPT. Okay, so they searched for us, and they weren't a UK-based firm; they were an American-based firm, and they found us. I don't know what they searched for, but ChatGPT, and then we're having conversations with them. We've interviewed team members from them. Hopefully, by the end of this week, we'll have them on board as a client. So the world is changing rapidly, and good content, trust online. We're in a virtual world. Everyone's everywhere. Before we know it, it might not be someone in America. It could be someone in Europe or far as Asia. So don't underestimate the power of the online platforms to do that. And then at the same time, do everything that Vipul has just said. Okay, that's just as important, even more important probably. Okay, because once you've got that client, you want to keep retaining them. So it's a combination of both. That's kind of what I would have to suggest we do.
Very, very good insight, Arun. In fact, recently, we had like a bunch of inquiries coming in for some of the technologies of Zoho and from the accounting realm. And then we saw some social media presence as well, where people say that I was searching for this and the AI overview suggested this. So, which means whatever content, the answer that you gave for the previous content question, right? The strategy is the content that you key in, and when that's available for people to read, that's definitely creating a mind share in the market as to who you are and what firm and come to you. And ChatGPT,
and absolutely, and that builds brand. Okay, and that's the really important thing. Now, if you think about it, when you build brand, it's that trust that comes. When you have trust, okay, you can then charge a respectable fee, okay, as opposed to trying to be the cheapest person in the market. Now, and you'll then attract quality clients as well. So the power of brand is the thing that people misunderstand. All of these things compound to build a strong brand, including what Vipul said as well. But it's not just that; it's everything. Because it's honestly, it's very easy to get UK clients or American clients. You just price yourself the cheapest. Okay, you can price yourself the cheapest, but you'll get the worst clients and it'll be the biggest headache and you won't make any money. That's easy, okay? What you want to be doing is pricing yourself in a way that, you know what, we'll choose who we take on, we'll get the right type of clients, and we'll make damn good money out of it.
Spot on, Arun. In fact, the next question, you've answered a lot about digital branding as well. I'm sure that's going to be your golden rule in terms of content, but I still wanted to put this question forth. You've done a lot of things you must have done for Samera and Vipul, likewise for virtual as well. But amidst all of those that you did, what is that one golden rule that you think is important in building and managing global teams successfully? Maybe Arun, we can start off with you.
Right, one golden rule. It's hard to nail it down to one kind of thing, okay? But if I had to say, it's the team, okay? The team is everything, okay? When I started off my journey many years ago, I'd just come out of investment banking, and at that point in that career, it was all about, oh, I know everything, and it's all about I make a lot of money, I know what I'm doing, and running a business humbles you very quickly. Okay, it teaches you know what, you are nothing. Okay, and what I learned over the years, I then went down the route of thinking, okay, well, I think the clients are the most important people in my business. For me, I realized then, no, actually, it wasn't that. Okay, over the years, it's got more. The clarity's come crystal clear to me, is that it's the team who are the most important thing in my business. So therefore, now it's the right team, not the wrong team, it's the right team. So I need to make sure I have the right team, the right people on the bus going in the right direction. If I have the wrong people on the bus, we might have a driver who's taking it on the wrong direction and people wanting to get off the bus. But if you have the right team, that is everything. So my efforts now are all about developing the team, building the team, respecting the team, making the team feel good. Now, sometimes some people might leave. Okay, fair enough. Good for them. Okay, I wish them well. But whilst they're with me, I'll put all my efforts into every team member. And I've lost some great team members over the years, but I wish them well. And I have to say that this is the golden key. It's the key is having that team, in my view.
Thank you, Arun. Vipul, what is your golden rule that you still follow?
I think it's a combination of both. So you need to have a great team. Obviously, you cannot do it without that. But at the same time, you need to pick the right tech, right policies, procedures to make it work as well. Because as you grow, it can easily go out of control. So you need to have the right, systems, policies, and procedures in place as well. So you're able to manage a big team. You shouldn't be, uh, think twice before investing in technology, subscribing to right products. Otherwise, it can be a mess. So it's a combination of both good team and good technology process and systems put together. Yeah.
If I could I just add one thing? But if you have the right team, they'll be able to figure out the right technology and systems for you anyway. So that's what I would think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's just that, initially people are a bit reluctant in investing, like as a founders, or so they are like, why do I need to spend on this? Maybe I can save this money and run something from Excel, but it doesn't go too far.
Doesn't go
So
well.
people shouldn't be, yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, both of you have given me teasers for the next question. The next question was going to be about how important or how efficient as an enabler is technology, especially in the accounting, offshoring, and outsourcing space. And you've given me teasers, but why don't you get into some details? Where do you see technology fitting in? It can be, you can talk about from the technical, which is the accounting space, or you can talk from the marketing side, or overall, enabling the process. Maybe we can start with Vipul first and then move on to Arun.
I think, it's probably at the heart of everything we do, technology. When we are trying to deliver a service, it's all happening online through cloud, using tools like, Teams and Slack and all sorts of, different communication tools. So that's one part. When you're trying to deliver a service, you have to kind of make the best use of technology. But then there's a second part to it, which runs in the background when you're trying to manage a team which is growing. You cannot do it without technology. So, for example, we have a HR management system which tells us how many team members we have of that, talent pool, who are working on different projects, what projects they are working on, who don't have anything to do, people who are on the bench at the moment, what sort of skill sets they have, so that if we get a next requirement, where we can deploy them. So it kind of helps us to deliver the service. And then the second part is it kind of tells us how efficient we are in terms of managing our organization, what sort of availability we have, what sort of resources or talent pool we have available to deploy. And this is where it has been really helpful for us, because what we have noticed is, if you have a prospective customer reaching out, and if you can, everything ticks off, and if you can serve them pretty much immediately, you've got the deal. If they have to wait, say 6 months or 3 months, it's not going to work. And having a good system in place, which tells us how we can reallocate team members and kind of onboard a new client, has been kind of it has made a lot of difference.
You're absolutely right, Vipul. I think it's not about the technology for servicing clients alone. Like you said, to manage your own firm, technology is very important. The entire practice management platform, be it the tasks that you're assigned to them, or the employees, or payroll, whatever that you have to pay them, everything on a system. I think as a leader for that firm, if you have a dashboard to see if everything is going on track, if everything talks to each other, that's going to be very helpful for you, right? So yeah, that absolutely helps. Arun, you covered on this in detail on part 2 of our series. In fact, you gave them a bit of some of examples of what technology you are using. So maybe at a high level, do you want to give our audience a sneak peek of why technology is important?
Yeah, I think Vipul hit the nail on the head. Technology is essential in today's environment. You have to embrace it, but it is changing at a rapid pace. And you've got to have a team that's willing to learn it, develop it, give ideas, train other team members. We use it obviously on the accounting side. We use all the cloud softwares that are out there, some of the apps that link into some of the software. We're developing our own apps as we speak, which are AI driven. So my first degree many years ago is engineering. I became a chartered accountant, and now I feel like I'm going back into engineering, to be honest with you, because I think the financial and accounting space, it will be driven by technology, okay, and technology augmented by good quality strong communicating people. And there's no better place in the world than India for that, in my mind, okay? Because you've got the good technical background, you've got the English speaking, you've got the offshoring model, you've got all of these things come together. And so despite all the challenges we're seeing in the world, I think if you've got people who understand the technology, who are quick and wanting to learn it, it's the right way forward, and all firms will need to embrace that. And in our firm, as I said, accounting wise, we use it, but on the marketing side, we've got so many things we're using all the time, so many different tools we're trying. Some work, some don't work, some aren't right for us. But you've got to spend to learn and see if it's going to make a difference, because suddenly some piece of technology can literally transform your firm.
Very, very true. I mean, there's a lot of productivity that comes into place when you can automate certain things for the firm, and you get back a lot of time, which you can invest on something more strategic, right? Yes. So that's the technology question for you. The next one is, we spoke about this a little bit before, where Arun and Vipul, both of you mentioned about how attitude is very important, but specific to talent, when you hire offshore talent, what are the skill sets or qualities you prioritize for your employees? It can be both technical and non-technical. I know morally, attitude is important. They have to have the right attitude to come fit into the team, but are there any specifics? Because this is finance and accounting, especially when it comes to managing clients abroad. Compliance is important. Getting adapting themselves to the latest regulations and all of that is very, very important. So what are some of the top skill sets or qualities you look for in your own talent when you bring them on board? We can start with Vipul.
Yeah, I think having the basic accounting skills is great, but they need to have something more if they want to get into this industry. So there are a couple of other things we look for. First is obviously the communication skills, how open they are. Generally, Indian accountants or finance professionals, they are slightly introvert. They don't like to speak a lot. So communication is something which we try and look whether, they have good soft skills in place. And then also they need to be really quick learner, because if they were into an Indian kind of a finance and accounting space, doing a lot of compliance work, they'll have to pretty much unlearn whatever they've done, and then they'll have to start over again. So they have to be really quick learners as well. So those two aspects, other than the basic, accounting skills, those are the ones we try and look at.
Thank you, Vipul. Over to you, Arun.
Yeah, I think Vipul, again, I'd endorse exactly what he said. I think the communication skills is paramount. I think the ability to try and learn, and I guess you don't really know until people do come on board, but you can test them out with some tests that you do beforehand, like Vipul was mentioning, that we similarly do something similar. I think that's really important. I think also you want some critical thinking skills or problem solving skills. I think that's really important. Those are something that I would always want. One of the other skills that I kind of am very keen to identify are people who will take the initiative. Okay, because sometimes I know maybe I've had comments from UK firms saying, well, people don't take the initiative in India. Okay, they just follow a process, and perhaps that's the schooling system. Indian people follow the process really well, but here in the West, they want people to take the initiative to actually get the thing done, or if that didn't work, let's try it this way. Okay, so that's a skill we look for. We don't always find it, but certainly in the more middle to senior roles, we definitely want people who have the initiative to try and problem solve.
There's one more thing I would like to add here. If
Yes.
that's okay. So we also, one of the things which we have started doing recently, and it's still, not perfect. We are just trialing out. We also are trying to understand what sort of enterprising ability they have, because for us, we don't try and micromanage. We don't try and tell them that you're supposed to do this today and that way. So we just tell them, here's the job, you need to complete it. Let us know if you get stuck and we'll help you out. But if you don't ask questions, you will be stuck forever. Nobody's going to come in now. So we are trying to understand how enterprising they are. And one of the things which we have started during the hiring process is we are trying to show them a pitch from Shark Tank. And we are trying to tell them that, have a look at this pitch. Tell us if you'll invest, not invest, why you'll invest. So that gives us a bit of an idea of how enterprising they are. sometimes it just throws them off that I'm in an interview and they're trying to show me a Shark Tank pitch. But it has been an interesting bit which we have added to our hiring process recently.
Very unique. Very, very nice, Vipul. Yeah. Good stuff. I know we're about time. We just have a minute, but then I want to quickly run through a few questions. Maybe we'll take the last three, and then we also have questions from the audience. We'll maybe take one of them. So quickly to both of you, we spoke about technology, but are there any specific tools that you want to mention that you're already using that's helped improve efficiency for your firm? It can be for accounting, it can be for payroll, it can be for people management or marketing, or any AI that you're using. Maybe quickly, just like a rapid fire round, if you can quickly mention the names. Arun, go first. Yeah.
I will highlight a new app that I've just started using recently. It's called Gamma.app. You might have heard of it. It's an AI tool. Okay. Oh my God, it's transformed my world. Okay, when it comes to putting PowerPoint presentations together, it literally takes content from anywhere you want to give it to, and it will just put it into a beautifully designed PowerPoint thing. So I've bored my team, I've bored even my wife about it, going how amazing this Gamma thing is. So what I'm going to be doing, hopefully in the next, if I have time, I'm going to try and put a list of all the different tools I'm using, which are amazing. But Gamma is the one that I've used recently. It's about, I think, $30 or $40 a month. Okay. Try it out. Okay. It's impressive what it can do, how AI is just going to transform everything.
Okay. Thank you, Arun. What about you, Vipul?
So on the accounting side, we have to pretty much use what our clients are using. But to run our organization, we are using a whole bunch of Zoho tools. So we use Zoho Recruit, we use Zoho Vault, Zoho Payroll, and slowly we are trying to move to Zoho People as well. But that has helped a lot. That has solved a lot of problems which were there. And yeah, we keep trialing it out whenever we feel something is going to help. So in terms of security, we use a lot of products from, there's a company called TeamViewer. They've got some, security related tools. So earlier it was like you go to each system and try and see if it's safe or secure. Now we have a enterprise grade dashboard which has been provided by them. We can look at the dashboard and see everything is up to date, everything is on track. If there are any issues, we can try and fix it remotely.
Nice. Thank you so much, Vipul. That was a very kind of you to mention about Zoho, but
we use Zoho as well. Sorry.
I didn't pay Arun for that, but yeah, Arun, thank you.
You do, yeah. Very, very universally across our products. So.
Yeah, no, but that's very kind of you. But I think Gamma, that's very interesting. Maybe I'll take a look at that, Arun. I've
have a look at it.
come across that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Last two questions. So we spoke about pricing. Okay, even before that, clients think that, offshore services, Arun mentioned about this point, it's like a low cost freelance platform. So how do you position your services differently, and that's kind of getting into the follow-up question as well, which is the last one. So first, how do firms have to position themselves? Today, we have a lot of attendees. So if they want to go global, what is the positioning that they'll have to put themselves out there in the market? Any unique strategies or any unique positioning statements? Maybe Arun, you can start off, and then Vipul.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Cynthia. I think ultimately it kind of highlights what I was saying earlier. You need to build that brand, and that brand will then build your trust. Okay, so as you're right, you can go onto all the low-cost freelance platforms and hire staff very cheaply, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a good job. People want to build trust with an organization that can deliver the job on time and for the price that they agreed with, and that takes. So as I said earlier, the way we do that is what we were saying earlier. It's building trust with a whole bunch of content that we put out there, educating our marketplace, getting then hopefully referrals from existing clients, and then ultimately doing a good job. Okay, so if you're trying to compete on price, in my mind, it's a race to the bottom. Okay, and that will never win. You'll never build a business based on that. Okay, you'll have to build something based on a brand, based on quality, and price yourself accordingly. And if some people say no to you, that's fine as well. That's okay. But because there will be someone else who will say yes to you for the price you're trying to offer. So I think don't get suckered into trying to be the cheapest. That isn't going to build you a business.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Arun. I think we should be okay to take a no when we are welcoming a yes. So I agree to that. We should be open to feedback. Vipul, so what are your thoughts on this? When people compare services to low cost,
Yeah,
what's the positioning statement that you want to?
I mean, I always try and explain them that freelancing platforms are great, but they serve a different purpose. If you have a one-off job which you want someone to just come in and do, you don't want to have a long-term, you don't have a long-term assignment, it's okay. If you are okay to work with someone in that kind of manner, it's fine. Also with freelance jobs, I also feel that data security is a big risk there. So if you have a job where you don't have to share a lot of confidential information, for example, if I want someone to do a market research, we don't have that capability in our team, I won't mind going to a platform and hiring a freelancer and telling them, can you deliver this over the next couple of months? The data is already in public domain. We don't have much confidentiality or security issues there, and we don't have that skill in the team. So they are probably meant for those kind of situations where you have a one-off task, there's no security risk, and you want someone to just come and do that because they have the right sort of set of skills. You don't have that, so it serves that purpose. But when you're looking to build global team, they don't help. They, in fact, they can kind of throw you off. You might hire a freelancer who will do something for a few months and then just disappear because he got something extra on another project. So it doesn't really help. They serve a different purpose. What we are trying to do here is build a long-term relationship, build an offshore team which will kind of pretty much integrate with your firm and then help you in your growth journey.
Spot on, Vipul. Thank you for that. I think we're talking about accounting data here. We're talking about P&L, profit and loss, and balance sheets of a company, which cannot be compromised at all. And it's very, very important to choose the right vendor or partner for it, rather than, I agree, like market research or any other things which involves content or research materials, or that does not need a GDPR associated with it or any other data protection associated with it. It's absolutely okay to go to freelancers. Fantastic answers. Thank you, gentlemen. And this is the last question. Again, it's a follow-up to whatever we spoke here. What is that one pricing model you think works for firms when they set up their offshore unit? And what is it that's working for Virtual Clone and Samera? Maybe Vipul, you can start off and then I'll move to Arun.
I think we have probably changed our pricing model a few times over the last few years, and we have kind of moved away from pricing or charging on an hourly rate or on an hourly basis. We used to do that initially. It didn't work that well for us, so we don't do it that way. Also, we try and look at our cost, and there's a certain gross margin we want to maintain. So for every service we are trying to deliver, the first thing we'll look at it, what is it going to cost us? And then we'll add a gross margin, and then we'll probably say this is your fixed monthly cost for delivering this set of services, rather than trying to agree a price per hour or trying to commit a price per job. We pretty much are charging everyone on a monthly basis now.
Got it. So like a monthly subscription kind of a model, which allows them.
It's a sort of a monthly retainer kind of a thing, where we say, here's a team which we have built. It's made up of maybe a team leader, couple of senior associates, all put together. They should be able to deliver these kind of services, and this is the price for the whole team kind of.
No, that's very important, right? I completely agree. Because on a monthly basis means your client also gets to see their cash flow and accordingly can save up for that month. And you also can get to see what is the revenue that's going to trickle in for you every month on month, because you have people to pay and you have a business to run, which is a very good model. Arun, what model has worked for you for Samera?
I think we knew early on that the hourly based model was just flawed. Okay. It's too much headache to manage and understand and get the work done. And so the only way that we work now with clients thus far is a dedicated team member. So you have a dedicated staff member, and we'll price it accordingly, that you pay this fixed amount each month. So the client's aware of the fee, and we know our costs associated with that already. That to me is a much easier way to manage. Trying to charge a 3-hour job for $10 an hour, another job for $20. It's honestly, it's just you need a whole new separate infrastructure just to manage that. So I just think it's not right, and therefore, and also you attract the wrong type of client there as well, who's just trying to spend 3 hours or 4 hours and get it done, and it's not worth the effort doing it. So we just say, if you want someone, here's somebody. This is the fixed price you can have. This is their skill set. That's how we work.
No, I think that's going to give you peace of mind, like you rightly said, because especially in the accounting space that we've seen, there are people who come to firms only during the taxation times. So I have tax filing. I didn't care about my book so far, and now you're going to be my savior. Take all my papers and get this sorted for me. So yeah, I think a flat rate or a retainer basis kind of a subscription is a very good model. Thank you for those answers, gentlemen. Again, with these success stories of Samera Global and Virtual Clone, was there I'm sure you would have had an kind of an aha moment, right? A moment where you looked back and thought, hey, this one is truly scalable. So what is that wow moment for the two of you? Was it earlier during the days, or midway, or after like 15 years thoughts? What was that one moment that gave you, okay, I've taken the right decision, not bad, and gave a pat on your back? So which one was that? Maybe we'll start with Arun.
Okay, my aha moment was actually relatively recently, to be honest with you. And kind of, as I said to you before, we use other third-party offshoring firms historically, but it was only when I kind of started to, and because then you'd have relationships with people in India, but it was still kind of at a distance. It's only when I set up, honestly, my own operation in India, it's like, my God, I've been missing out on all the wonderful talent that's there. Okay. And then I thought the only truly way to scale now is by using an Indian workforce, an Indian team. And so I remember when I did when I met Vipul and some other accountants in India a couple of years ago now, I think, and having discussions with them, and then by building my team and everything. And the aha moment has been India, to be brutally honest with you. And now I'm able to build a kind of whole data science software team only because I can do it in India. So there's all these ahas. It's kind of, oh my goodness, how stupid have I been, Arun? Okay, you're of Indian origin. You've been doing things in the UK for so many years, but it's only in the last few years you realize there's so much scope to do in India. Okay, now obviously I knew there's stuff happening in India, and life circumstances didn't necessarily allow me to do that as well. But the aha has come from the talent that I meet in India every time I come. People online, honestly, it's just I'm a huge big supporter and believer that the Indian workforce, the Indian teams will transform not just the financial and accounting space globally, but other sectors as well.
Absolutely. For me, India is always aha, Arun, and thank you for bringing that. It brought a broad smile on my face when you said that. Going over to you, Vipul, what was your aha moment when you thought, okay, I've built a model which is truly scalable,
I think it was when we got our market positioning right. So for first couple of years, it was a bit of a struggle. We were trying to pretty much work with everyone who needed our services. But then around, I think 2017, mid 2017, towards that period, we pretty much got our market positioning right, and we decided that we only want to work with accountancy firms, either based out of UK or Australia. And we also wanted to work as an extension of their team, as a white label service provider who will integrate with their team and work as an extension of their team. Yeah, so that's when things started changing. That's when we started growing quickly, because getting onboarding a good accountancy firm can send a lot of work. They can send hundreds of clients right away if you're shown the capability and if you've won their trust. Whereas when you're working with small businesses or small practices, it can become a bit of a challenge. You spend a lot more time communicating and chasing people for the paperwork and doing all sorts of stuff, which for us it was becoming a challenge because we were not having that kind of a talent pool who was so for us that was the moment when we thought that this is what we want to do, and from there on things were really easy. We were able to grow quickly as well.
Lovely. I think focusing on one particular thing is very important, like you said, right, Vipul? Because we can't spread ourselves too thin, especially when firms are small and they're trying to go global. It's important to focus on and get the right approach. Thank you for sharing that. I am grateful to hear inspiring stories from two leaders out there about Samera Global and Virtual Clone. And in fact, our audience have been very patient. We've taken about 13 minutes extra time than what we committed to them. So I'd like to thank them for that. And interestingly, after seeing the chat, Mr. Johan has also put a message there where he's apparently from Sri Lanka and he's a fellow chartered accountant and founder of a company called NextGen Global. And he does bookkeeping and accounting services for Australia and New Zealand businesses. So lovely. Thank you. First of all, I like how diligent the attendees are. They've started putting about their name and the companies and all of that. Given the time that we've taken 13 minutes extra, I would like to take one question from the audience. This is from Saurabh. Mr. Saurabh is asked both to you and Arun and Vipul for someone who's just starting out and he's still in a self-employed side of cash flow quadrant. He wants to know, wants to move to the business quadrant cash flow, right? Which is right from self-employed to running a successful business. So what are the tips that you will provide to a person like him to take the next big leap into this offshoring space? Vipul, maybe we can start with you and then go to Arun.
I think the first thing to keep in mind is that it won't happen quickly. So build a bit of a runway, maybe have a savings for say 6 to 12 months before going into something like that. So have that kind of a runway in place. And then the second thing will be, have a good budget for different activities they want to do, how much you want to spend on marketing, how much you want to spend on building a team, training, hiring, recruitment, and then how much you want to spend on tech and everything else. So have a good plan basically. And before that, before you dive into something like this, have a decent runway where you have enough for next 6 to 12 months maybe, and then dive into it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vipul. Yes, Arun.
I echo that. You need to have that buffer, that safety net of cash available for your living expenses or whatever you need. Okay, make sure you have that in place. But then again, at the same time, there's never going to be the right time. There might be some reason, or you're getting married or children, whatever. Ultimately, at some point you have to commit. Okay, and you have to jump in with 2 feet. There's no point trying to do it half-heartedly or kind of try and juggle too many things. It won't work. You have to at some point to say, you know what, I've got my 12-month savings. I'm going to jump in and give it everything. That's the whole point. Okay. If you don't give it everything, it's going to be very easy for you to step back into your old life. Yeah. Okay. Because, okay, it didn't work out. You give excuses and you go back to your work as a self-employed person. So action is key in this whole thing. Jump in with 2 feet, be committed, and take that commitment, and you'll surprise yourself what you can achieve in the space of 6 to 12 months.
Thank you, Arun. Saurabh, I'm sure it was useful for you and very motivating as well, because for me itself, it was very motivating. Thank you. And we are right about beyond time, actually, 20 minutes past whatever we committed to them. But this was very inspiring, Arun and Vipul. I've heard you more than thrice in a bunch of events that we conducted. And every time I hear these stories, it's very, very inspiring for me in terms of how you started your firm and how you've scaled and how you've given back to the community. I wish all of us to keep doing this to this particular space of offshoring and accounting and outsourcing, where we can give as much of data possible to them, as much of insights possible to them, because there's a lot of interest out there. So thank you so much, gentlemen, once again, and thank you to all the attendees. Yes, we'll see them on the next.
Thanks.
Bye.